Hey there, and welcome to episode number 14 of Wrestling with the Mind. I'm your host, Matt Sigmund, health coach by day, pro wrestler by night. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. This week I'm excited to bring to you a chat I had over the last few days with a friend of mine named Ethan Case, wrestler, promoter, pretty much jack of all trades, and he has a wonderful story to share, and I feel a lot of you will find this chat rewarding. And I hope you are able to connect with the story he has to share. But as usual, before we dive into the chat, I would like to do a tip of the week as well as some guided meditation. So let's start off with the tip of the week. And my tip this week is practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is the act of being present and fully engaged in the current moment without judgment or distraction. It can help reduce stress and anxiety, improve focus and productivity, and promote overall well-being. Now, some ways you can practice mindfulness. Number one, meditation. Set aside a few minutes each day to sit in a quiet space, focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, acknowledge the thought and gently bring your focus back to your breath. There are many guided meditations available online or through meditation apps to help get you started. We even do one here each week on the podcast. Number two, a body scan. You can lie down or sit comfortably, focus on each part of your body, starting at the top of your head, work your way down to your toes. Pay attention to any sensations or feelings in each part of your body without judgment. Number three, mindful breathing. Take a few deep breaths and just focus on the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. If your mind starts to wander, you can gently bring your focus back to your breath. And this is something that you can do anywhere. Number four, mindful walking. Taking a walk outside, focus on the sensations in your body as you move. Pay attention to your feet touching the ground, the wind on your skin, and the sights and the sounds around you. Number five, mindful eating. Slowing down and savoring each bite. Notice the flavors and textures and smells, and pay attention to the sensations in your body as you eat. Remember, mindfulness is about being present in the moment without judgment. Experiment with different techniques that you find what works best for you. I'd love to hear them as well. Now, if you would like to take part in some guided meditation before we hop into the chat today, you can start by finding a comfortable seated position. If this is something that you don't want to take part in, you can skip ahead a minute or two and hop right into our chat. Now, as you're seated in a comfortable position, either in a chair or on the floor with your legs crossed, raise your hands gently on your lap or by your sides and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs completely, and then exhale slowly through your mouth, letting go of any tension or stress. Repeat this deep breathing for a few more cycles. Focus on the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. Now bring your attention to your sense of touch. Focus on the sensation of your body sitting in the chair or on the floor. Notice any sensations such as the texture of your clothing or the feeling of the air on your skin. Shift your attention to a sense of hearing. Listen carefully to the sounds around you, whether it's the sound of traffic outside, the hum of the air condition, birds, or the faint ticking of a clock. Now bring your attention to your sense of smell. Take a deep breath in through your nose and notice any scents that you can detect, whether it's the smell of fresh flowers, cooking food, or the scent of your surroundings. Next, focus on your sense of taste. Take a moment to notice any taste in your mouth, whether it's the lingering taste of food or a drink you've had, or even the taste of your own saliva. Finally, bring your attention to your sense of sight. Even with your eyes closed, you may see patterns of lights or colors. Simply observe these visual sensations without trying to interpret or analyze them. As you focus on your senses, allow yourself to become fully present in the moment. Let go of any thoughts or distractions and simply be aware of the sensations you are experiencing. When you are ready, slowly begin to bring your awareness back to your physical body. Wiggle your fingers and toes, take a few deep breaths, and open your eyes, relaxed and more present in the moment. Now let's dive into our chat with Ethan. Hey Ethan, buddy, how are you?
I am great, man. How are you? I love your studio.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we are recording real high end here in Camden, South Carolina today in my car. Now, I did the same thing with Tim Storm, okay? And he's a former NWA world champion.
It's a nice car.
Oh, you know, it works for getting me from Knoxville to various independent wrestling towns and a quiet spot when, you know, the buildings are a little loud.
And there's so much echo always.
A lot of echo. And then I have to get away from everybody. Just everybody wants to run up and ask me questions and things. And so to record something, we need a quiet environment.
Yes.
And those are hard to find in wrestling. So
Very.
you come out to the car and you sit and it's peaceful.
Well, like this is just a little break from the show day for me. So
Yeah. So, yeah, number one, it's a busy day. It is a show day here for Palmetto Championship Wrestling. We're here in Camden, South Carolina. So, I mean, it's bing, 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 bing. And you've carved out some time here to do this and chat a little bit about mental health. So,
Yes.
Number one, thank you.
Of course.
So, for those who are in the wrestling environment, they probably know you, Ethan Case.
I've just been around for so long.
You have been. I mean, you've been established throughout the Carolinas here, and people know you. But for those that don't, for those that are not familiar with wrestling, for those who are just tuning in for the mental health aspect of this, give us a little bit of history of Ethan.
Yeah, of course. I've been wrestling 19 years, man, and I started in 2004, and it was miserable. It was so hard when. What year did you start?
2004.
It's horrible.
December, yeah.
Like, was it as bad? Like, were you in Tennessee?
I was in Tennessee, but I was in this weird predicament where we were working like 5-6 nights a week,
Yeah.
and traveling with, you know, like Rock and Roll and Tracy Smothers, and so we were constant like road warriors, and it was brutal because the pay's not good. You're away from family all the time. We're young, so we're doing stupid stuff all the time, and our bodies are like hating us for it. And it's that starving artist mentality, like I've talked about on here a little bit. But yeah, it was pretty brutal.
And see, we had a little bit of that. So, like, the Carolinas didn't have that per se, but,
Right.
like, we would go a random Wednesday, Thursday in Tennessee, and then pop back down to Georgia or Carolina, and then,
Yeah,
you know, back and forth. But, like I said, it was for nothing. Like, we were just literally getting experience.
right.
And hoping to learn something.
And which was good, though, because
Yeah.
back then you did have the opportunity to learn a whole lot quite often and get those repetitions in and be in front of a live crowd every single night. And a lot of guys these days, they don't do that. They get 1 to 2 shows a month, and it's kind of hit and miss in terms of who they're learning from and opportunities and things. So, I mean, even though it was bad, we did have
Yeah, exactly.
quite good at the same time.
I think the flip too, like, that's one thing I really focus with at my school is, like, they run so many matches, and we have so many people come in too
Yeah.
that aren't just like from the school.
Right.
The veteran guys that have, you know, 10, 15 years, and they come in and work with these guys in class, and they're still able to, like, learn something that way
Yes.
when we don't have the opportunity to have those shows
Right.
multiple times a week. But I think my body would have liked wrestling once or twice a month back then.
Yeah, and people are a lot more conscious about how they treat their bodies these days, at least for the most part.
I remember the first time, like, as like a young wrestler and watching someone like stretch and warm up, and I was like,
Mystified?
I'm not used to that. Like, no, like it's usually the guys just like cutting up,
Yeah.
and then they, you know, they're in the middle of a joke and their music hits. They just turn around, they finish tying their boot, and they walk through.
I used to watch Tracy Smothers spend about 30 minutes like stretching, warming up, doing I get almost like a yoga routine before he'd go to the ring, and he'd walk into the show barely able to walk, like legitimately hobbling along, using a cane even on some days. And then about 30 minutes before the match, he'd start warming up, he'd get his gear on, he'd spray down, and then he'd start stretching and doing his little yoga kind of stretch routine. Music would hit, walk out there like it was 1993, and he's just flying all over the place and working hard, going for 45 minutes. And it was wild to me. But yeah, you've been around wrestling forever, kind of like myself. which is a crazy entertainment business in itself. But you've seen highs and lows, and you've done a lot through it. You've done wrestling, you've done promoting here with PCW, and you've run this school. So you're training future guys. So you have. I like on this podcast because I get like people from wrestling, but also the promoter side or just kind of different aspects, referees, whatever it may be. And you have a lot on your plate. So with that said, over the years, how has wrestling impacted your mental health?
Wrestling's tough. So it's like we're chasing our dreams and we're doing what we've always loved. And it's kind of like there's very few people that get into wrestling that aren't like wrestling fans or didn't grow up watching wrestling. And I don't know of a time where I never watched wrestling. Like it's always been like my mom used to dress up like Ricky and Robert and go to Graver Moore Auditorium every Monday night. No lie. And like I have the pictures. I cut up with her all the time about it. And it's like I remember the first time I did a show with Ricky, she lost her mind.
I'm sure.
You know? So like I've watched NWA since she watched it every time I was on TV. So into WCW and stuff. So it's like I'm chasing this dream and I didn't realize how tough it actually is. Cause like you said, the being on the road, the being away from family, especially now, man, cause I have 4 kids. I have a wife at home. So it's like, I like that time at home instead of being gone, 40 days straight. And we don't have phones and this and that. I can't imagine how hard that was back then, but it's a struggle now even. So like, and I can FaceTime back home.
You can. We do have the benefit of doing things like FaceTime when guys back in the day, no cell phones. They're using maps instead of GPS, and they're in random towns where ever so often, every few days, maybe they find a payphone.
Exactly. Exactly. So, we have that benefit, but it's still hard, man. So like my biggest thing when I was young in wrestling was I'm 5'8". Everybody said you had to be a big guy to get into, the Fed then.
And clearly they were right because we never...
Exactly. And so there's still hope, man.
Yeah, there is.
We're still going.
Yeah, the carrot is still dangling.
Yeah,
right?
Always. And it always will. That's the worst part. But... being a smaller guy too, it was always like okay, well, if you're not going to be like this heavyweight, then you need to be like 110 pounds. And I feel like there was a lot of body dysmorphia and like an eating disorder that came from that.
Okay.
And especially like in my younger years, man, like now I could care less. Like I don't know.
Right.
What I'm saying? Like I'm doing my thing now, but like back then, man, I was, 16, 17 years old and all these guys are telling me like, oh, you need to lose weight. It's like, hey, well, how do I do that?
And the knowledge is not there to back
No, it's not
up.
there.
And that's something, and not to cut you off, but that's something that, like, when I first broke in as well, you had some of the guys that were the bodybuilder type. They were constantly eating chicken, rice, and broccoli every 3 hours, 2 hours, keeping it with them as they go. And then you had guys who were trying to get in that shape, but there was nobody really around at the moment to help teach them how to go about it properly and stay healthy while getting into fit shape. It was very rare. You'd get guys that would throw advice at you, but it's not necessarily what's going to keep you healthy or be actual good plan.
And we had a lot of guys that would, drink the whole day before the show.
Right.
And then they're drinking in the locker room. Yeah. And they're drinking afterwards.
Right.
And then, I don't know how these guys go like that all the time. Like I can't do that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I ever could. But especially like in the younger days for me, man, it was like I had no clue who I was. So I was trying to be who this person wanted and then this person wanted and then this person would get in my head about it. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to be doing this. And it was a lot of like mental anguish that, especially at that time, man, like I had no awareness of. I thought it was just business as usual. I thought I was just like, I'm in the biz.
It's how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, this is showbiz, baby. And so I'm trying to do all this stuff, man. And it took a big impact on my health as a whole. But man, my mental health, especially like now, I feel like I dealt with everything later on. And then once I dealt with it later on, it became like anxiety and it became like my depression. And it was like stuff that built up over the years, and then finally it just kind of hit me.
And when did it hit you? When was that point of where you actually...
Here's the worst part, man. So it honestly started to hit me when I started doing bigger things. And it's kind of like, I did all these years of, struggling and working odd end jobs to pay bills and then travel on the weekends and no sleep till Brooklyn and all this stuff. And it's like, then when I started getting a little recognition and started getting a little bigger, like the doubt got bigger in my head.
Okay. More
it's
pressure.
It's almost like at that time I was like, okay, well, this is going to eventually hit the ground, and it started wearing on me. And then like all those things that I doubted about myself before, like with the body dysmorphia and all this stuff, like it got bigger and bigger. And truthfully, man, like I was giving a talk one day to like my students, and I was like, the biggest thing you guys can do is like be yourself and then amplify that. And we were talking about how to like present yourself and do this and the other. And then I kind of realized, like, I went home that night, I was thinking about it, I was like, wow, you're a hypocrite. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I'm sitting here telling these kids how to do all this stuff, and like I'm coming home and can't stand looking in the mirror.
Right.
Or I'm having trouble, wanting to wake up in the mornings and shit. You know what I'm saying? So like we're dealing with all this, and it was at the peak of my stuff. And now looking back on it, I'm like, who cares? Because nobody's going to give you the same advice, man. Like I've done extra work and within 2 months of each other and be told that I need to lose 10 pounds and put on 15 pounds. Everybody has a different opinion on what this is, man. Like that's like, there's no set way to be a professional wrestler. There's no like handbook to it or a guide.
That's true. And it's crazy because, I mean, we are in a wild entertainment business, and there's so many varying opinions on how to do things, quotation mark, properly or right. And at the end of the day, it's not always, the case. Of course, from in-ring perspective, we want to be able to walk into the show and walk out feeling at least as close to the same way each time,
Yes, especially the older I get.
And protect ourselves, protect whoever we're performing or wrestling with. But in terms of making it per se, or what's going to truly click and have that it factor, that varies from opinion to opinion, and it can be hard to navigate those waters.
It is, because I mean, you don't know who's got the bigger say. You don't know who's the actual advice to take. You don't know,
right?
What do I do? Do I lose 7 and put on 4? I don't know. Like,
right.
How do I do the math on this? So, it's a lot of stuff like that, and then the struggle of just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, it would be so easy just to be like, okay, hey, I've put in 19 years in this. Obviously, I'm not going to get signed to a big company, right? I'm not going to make a living doing this.
Right.
I could just go do something else. Let's take up golf.
So that temptation to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Right.
It's silly.
I don't either.
But we should. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were doing anything, if you were playing ball.
Oh, we're insane.
Yeah, if you're playing ball and you're in your 19th year in single A, you're obviously not getting called up.
True.
So, like, do you just keep playing? Do you go do something else? Do you find something that might be more lucrative?
Yeah, but I mean, I think at this point for me, it's there's always, like we were saying, there's always that carrot. You never know. I mean, crazy things have happened in general, but at the end of the day, this wild business is what, for me, I find personally rewarding, and I like giving back too, because I'm at that point now where we've established a pretty decent name for ourselves in the area, and so I can go all these places and I can teach and I can help the next crew kind of fine-tune their craft and figure out their ways to connect with people and have good matches and whatnot. So I still find it rewarding, even though that quote-unquote big-time opportunity might not be there.
Right.
Which is challenging. So you've seen this perspective of how bad it can be, the mental health wise, and all the pressures it can put on you. How do you feel it has improved over the years? Because from what I've seen, for the most part, the focus on taking care of ourselves and just mentally, physically, financially have all improved over the years for the most part, and taking better care of our bodies, our brains, and just our spirit each day. I've seen good changes personally. What do you feel?
I think safety for our brains is like a huge thing. Like I'm dealing with little CTE issues that I'm having, and it's just from years of not knowing.
Right.
and the concussion count from being young and stupid.
Right.
And like, how old are you when you started?
17.
17. So I was 15.
Yeah.
I was an idiot. I probably still am. And it's like,
well, every year I have that moment every year where I go, I think I finally understand it now. But then the next year it's like, oh, I get it.
I get it. Nope. Nope. And, like, I mean, I can count. I mean, I remember, like, I have a count for my concussions, and it's like, it's stupid stuff that could have been easily prevented.
Yeah.
And now knowing that and being able to teach these young guys, like, hey, save yourself. Like, let's do this safely, and we can all show out and have a good time. But honestly, man, like, right now, wrestling is so fun. And it has been for a few years for me. Like, I enjoy putting on shows. I enjoy running my classes. I enjoy watching my students get out there and just kill it. And for me personally, when I am performing, like, I'm just having a ball. And I watch all these guys put so much pressure on themselves for matches. And, like, we're in the back, like, cutting up.
Right,
and
yeah.
Because, like, we know what we're going to do.
Yeah,
like,
right.
We don't have to worry about, I had a guy the other week, man, like, somebody said something. He was like, yeah, just... I forgot about this, and I didn't do this. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry it didn't go exactly the way you call that.
Right,
but,
yeah.
like, just have fun, man. Just have some fun with it.
And that's the thing I found, too, is, like, the more we have fun with it, I mean, you can still be serious and tell a serious story.
Oh, yeah.
But the more we have fun with it, the more the people engage with it, the more they have fun. And we get to take the kids, especially in the crowd, on that emotional roller coaster story.
Especially my kids.
Right, yeah.
Heat Seekers versus Liliana Case is like feud of the year right now.
We're building. It's going to be a multi-year thing. So, now that you've gone through a lot of challenges and you've figured out some more of life and you've pieced the puzzle together a little bit more, how do you focus on self-care? What do you do to help bring balance to some of the mental challenges and physical challenges and things?
So I got injured in January, and I think before then I had this unwilling need to, with my, like, I have ADHD, and it's getting bad, and it's like, I always have to be doing something. The worst part about that is I get overwhelmed, and I'll do half of this and 3/4 of this, right? And
do you feel, feel, because you're like the 10th guy from wrestling business, right, on the podcast that says, I have ADHD.
Yeah.
Do you think we all pretty much have ADHD? Do you think there's a key component there as to why we're in the business and ADHD being a part of it? Because
I 100% do.
I think we need to do a study on this because it's pretty prevalent from what I'm gathering here.
And it's one of those things, like, talking to someone that doesn't have ADHD and explaining their process to me and then me explaining my process to them, it is insane. Like, they can be neat, organized, blah, blah, and I'm all over the place. Like, I am not an organized human.
Right.
I want to be.
Hey, well, so now that I've derailed you, how do you focus on that self-care?
So a lot of it is I started doing yoga, and I started taking time for me. So I have an issue with trying to do everything for everyone. And I have my hand in all these hats.
Right.
And I think when I got hurt, man, like, I was able to just kind of step back. And with everybody taking that stuff off me or me taking it off of myself, I've learned to not put that back on me. And it has been a life changer. Because it's like taking some stuff off my plate, somebody's helping me with this, delegate this, and then I'm allowed to still, as a whole, put all this on. We have a great team here, man, and, like, management-wise at PCW, and they literally took everything off of me to where, and I mean, like, I'm talking about, I'm having to rent U-Hauls, set up the venue, set up the times, get the team together, do all this stuff, go get concessions, go get the stuff for the locker room, set up production, blah, blah, blah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And now I just, I'm able to come in and just focus on the wrestling part. My team brings the ring, we set it up, and then I'm able to produce an agent and get the card together and all that stuff, and then make sure it runs smoothly. And then, but that part's fun for me.
And that, this is something, another common theme with the chats that I've been having is it's surrounding yourself with a good team, with good people that are supportive and can help you build and lead to that good point and work together here for the good. So, that communication and supportive aspect of the people around you is so key.
And that's one big thing I focus on, man, is, like, when I was coming in, I don't feel like that was a thing around our area. And it was very cutthroat. And guys back then didn't want you taking their spots.
Right.
And this and the other, and, they would kind of sabotage you and or try to shoot on you and stuff. And it was way more outlaw back then, And then now, building a team where everybody supports each other and pushes each other, I feel like it makes us more competitive in a sense of let's all build together.
Right.
And then we're all making art together. And it's kind of like putting on shows and stuff, man, or like being at shows. It's like, I can't really tell you the last time I watched like a bad match live at a show.
Everybody's working hard to
everybody's
put out
having
a good
fun,
product.
and they're doing all this stuff together, man. And I think that's a big difference that we've made in wrestling as a whole from like our generation.
Yeah. So you've got the yoga, you've got some.
Do you see what I'm talking about? My ADHD. I
Right? Yeah. No.
About
So you got the yoga, you've got the carving out some time for yourself. You've got the supportive community now to help you push through challenging situations. Any other pieces to the puzzle that help you?
I have one since I got hurt.
Yeah.
I've never been a gamer guy.
Okay.
I've never played games.
Right.
I have played Fortnite so much. My daughter played one game in front of me, and I was like, that doesn't look that hard.
Give me the controller.
And then like 6 weeks later, I was like, oh no, I'm an addict. Like,
video games, and we've talked about this on here too, they can be very rewarding. They help trigger that dopamine thing in your rewarding part of your brain too. But there are really good ways to help your mental health through games, community aspect of it, and just being able to unwind and relax in an activity that's not a true detriment to your health. Because for wrestlers, that could be a problem. Wrestlers do have that addictive personality for the most part, and so instead of going to the clubs, the partying, the bars, the drugs, the girls, whatever, a lot of wrestlers now, we sit at home, we play games, hang out with family.
I said that, man. I was like 19, 20-year-old Ethan would be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're gonna spend time with your kids? You should be on the road, like you're doing all this, getting hammered, because that was what life was about then, and it's just different priorities now. And I enjoy that, man. Like I enjoy not feeling like crap when I wake up in the morning.
Oh yeah.
It's nice. And then like with the gaming thing, man, like I feel like it's just like a way for me to just shut my brain off and focus on something else when I have other stuff that I might be having going on, or this and the other.
And that's part of what, like, fans that come to shows, they come to the shows for the same reason you're going to the games. It's an escape from reality and a chance to unwind and be a part of something, or get kind of distracted by something for a little while that lets you not have all that pressure of the world on you. And so the people that buy the tickets, they come for that reason, to watch us do our thing. And so we pick video games or whatever, the gym or whatever it may be, for that kind of thing.
And I always tell my guys this too. It's almost like it's such a getaway in the sense of, like, you wouldn't want to go to the movies and watch somebody do their taxes.
Yeah.
That's not an escape, because that's something you actually have to deal with.
Right.
So like if they were to come here and you're just watching your own life play out in front of you, they're not going to enjoy that as much, because they're living that. They want to get away.
Right. Yeah.
So it's actually nice, like, these people that pay this money to come here and see this stuff, man, like, let's let them get away from whatever they have going on. And then also at the same time, we're using it as performers to get away from what we have going on.
Oh, it's true. Yeah. It's rewarding on both ends.
Yeah.
So for those who are having a challenging time, they're going through whatever it may be in life that's causing them to have a struggle, and they're having a difficult time mentally, what would you tell those people? What's some advice from Ethan here?
Reach out for help. Like, when I started therapy, I was 34 years old when I started therapy.
Okay.
I'm 34 years old right now.
Yeah.
And it's the best decision I've ever made. Just having that something to... And, like, something I got discouraged about was my first therapist I had, we didn't click.
Right.
And I was like, oh, well, they're not going to give me another one.
Okay.
Well, I'm on my fourth one and finally found the one that I can, sit there and, talk to and have these conversations with, and actually talk on a deeper level rather than, an educational level. Mm-hmm. And that's been game changer for me.
And that's something, too. There's a lot of these services online, these apps, BetterHelp and Cerebral and things. And you might not click with the first person, but that doesn't mean to give up. Go back, try to find that one that you will click with. And like you said, it's taken 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. So but after 4 different people, you found somebody that you are able to connect with,
yes,
and get help from. So
that's a huge thing, man. Like, I know, especially when we were younger too, it was like, you're gonna go through a therapist. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like you were shamed or bullied because of it, like you were weak or something, rather than being this big, strong, manly man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you're not allowed to have feelings and this, that, and the other. Like, I'm such an emotional human. like I'm a big emotional human. And I think that helps me with wrestling because I like making other people feel emotions while I'm performing.
Yeah.
So I think it's huge, man. Like, even if it's not therapy, man, like find something. Go to the batting cage. If going to the batting cage helps you,
Yeah.
go to the batting cage. Find something that's going to help you at least cope with whatever you have going on until you can find the help that you actually need.
Agreed. And for me, I look at it like this. So I'm willing to get a coach for my nutrition. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to get a coach to teach me how to improve my wrestling. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to get a coach to teach me how to improve my craft in the gym and become more physically fit or whatever it may be. Why would I not be willing to get a coach for my brain, my mental health, and just be able to process things better and help? So, I agree with you wholeheartedly there.
Do you have a coach for the chest too?
No, that is a self-sustaining ability of mine.
I've always hoped you have like a stencil.
No,
lay it on
I
there.
just eyeball that. I did it one day because everywhere we go, me and Elliot, for the most part, we're heels, we're bad guys. Yeah. So any little thing I can do to get a reaction without having to take a bump, fall down, and hurt myself, I shall do it. Mm-hmm. And so one day I just carved this upside down triangle in my chest hair, and just for giggles at home. And my wife was like, "That's stupid. I hate it." I said, "That's Perfect. The exact reaction that I needed."
Now you're gonna live with it.
And now you're gonna live with it. And so like, I come out to the ring and take off. We wear the Ribera jackets or shirts, whatever we got on. Take that off, and that's the first thing people see, and it's instant heat. It's something I don't have to do one step down. So yeah.
But then they go home and they secretly do it. The fans do.
Yeah, or they send me messages. Man, I saw that chest hair and I was so upset. How could you do that? How could you walk around?
I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought they were going to be like, "Man, I'm so upset. I can't do it. Like my wife would never let me do that. My job wouldn't let me have triangle chest hair."
I've worn it to the beach on family trips and everything. Oh yeah, I did shave it last year for like a week for one family beach trip with my whole family, and I was like, I'll babyface this one time, and then
felt naked.
I did, but I grew it back in a matter of like minutes. I just stare at the mirror and it grows back. Yeah. All right, so it's about an hour and a half till bell time.
Yep.
We've got to go in here and get serious for a minute and do business.
I'm not going to get serious. You're going to get serious.
We've got to go in here and try to get fans to enjoy a product.
Exactly.
So we have to try to deliver something. So that means we do have to wrap up. But I thank you for carving out time, and always a pleasure. And I thank you for being just open here and sharing a little bit about your story.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, I really cherish like the last couple of years. Like I've gotten really closer to you and Elliot. I mean, I've known you guys forever, it feels like. But like getting close to you guys, working with you guys on a professional level, man, like I genuinely enjoy being around you guys. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, Ethan, let's go in here and make money, okay?
Yeah. Let's stop wasting your gas.
Yeah, we need to turn the car off.
I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Ethan yet again for carving some time out of his busy day, especially on a show day, to record a little bit with us, and I hope you gained something out of our chat together. I also want to thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. If you haven't done so yet, please go to your podcast service, whether that's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Amazon. We are pretty much across the board. Spotify, all these places. Be sure to subscribe, share, review. Those all help us to get the word out, connect with more people, and help others along the way in their mental health journey. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your week, and now go out and make something awesome out of today.